welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up and June TBR. This video is a little late because I've been super busy these first couple of days of June just doing stuff for my small business. If you don't know, I have a small business. Shop these earrings, shop these rings. They're not out yet, but they're going to be out in a future collection. I'm gonna stop plugging myself and let's get started. I only read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because May was really hectic for me, but that's okay. I don't want to force myself to read if I don't want to, because then it becomes a chore instead of a hobby. The first book I finished was Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, which was actually April's book of the month pick for my Discord. I wasn't able to finish it in April. I finished it like the first day of May and I really enjoyed it. This follows a girl named, what's her name, Bree, and she moves to the small town of Pelion in Maine after something traumatic that happened to her, and she tries to escape her past by going to this town, and then she meets a guy named Archer, and he also has a traumatic past, and so they basically bond over their trauma, kind of, and they relate to each other through that, and they end up forming a relationship, and that's what this book's about. I ended up reading it, I think 4 stars. I don't have my phone on me, but I will put my official rating right here. The next book I read, I actually listened to on audiobook, and it felt like it took me forever to get through this, but it's Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I read Sharp Objects the month before and I thought it was okay. I also did an audiobook on that, and then this one, it took me weeks to get through on an audiobook, and usually audiobooks take me less than a week to get through, but this took me like 2 or 3 weeks, and it was boring. I got bored and I don't know if I want to read Gone Girl. So if any of you guys have read Gone Girl and you highly recommend it, please convince me in the comments, because I still have the book, but I just am not drawn to it anymore because of the first 2 Gillian Flynn books that I've read. This one I think I rated a 2 or a 3 stars. Again, I'll put the rating right here. It was also just super demonic and dark, and I was not expecting it to be that dark and like creepy, and just listening to it as an audiobook in the middle of the night while driving is just not the vibe. It creeps me out a little too much. The next book I read is my favorite book of 2022 so far, and it's It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I'm obsessed with Tessa Bailey now. I have to read all of her books, her whole entire backlist, because oh my gosh, I love this book so much. 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. I think this is my first 5 out of 5 stars of the entire year. But I mean, I haven't read that much the entire year, but this one is a good one. This follows a girl named Piper. I love her. She's like an influencer. Her stepdad is this big time movie producer, and she kind of uses daddy's money a lot to just do whatever she wants, basically. But then something happens, she ends up going to jail for like a night or something like that, and then her stepdad is just like, you know what, no, your mother and I are sending you to your biological father's hometown. They send her to Westport, which is this small fishing village in Washington, and so going from Beverly Hills to a small town in Washington is a very big culture shock for her. And then comes tall, brooding, grumpy Brendan Taggart. You guys, I cannot explain how many like butterflies I got from this book, and I just wish I could read this book for the first time again. I loved it so much. 5 out of 5 stars. If you have not read this book, please read it. It's like sort of enemies to lovers, but it's more of like we got off on the wrong foot to lovers, because they didn't like hate each other. They just kind of disagreed with each other in the beginning, and then it was obvious that they had feelings for each other. The next book, to no one's surprise, is the sequel, which is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This one follows her sister, Hannah. I don't want to spoil anything else in the book, so I'm not going to divulge any further, but the epilogue in this really gave me a lot of serotonin, and this one I think I rated 4.5 stars. Not as good as the first one, but still really good. I enjoyed it so much. The next book I read was The People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I currently don't have it on me. It is on loan. My boyfriend's sister is borrowing it. I actually listened to it on audiobook and I enjoyed it. I listened to it in like a day, 2 days, something like that. It just went by so quick. It basically follows this girl named, I already forgot what her name is. I want to say Piper again, but it's not. It's Poppy. Her name is Poppy. It started with a P, but I knew it wasn't Piper because that was the main character of the last book. But okay, Poppy. What was the guy's name? It's not Gus, because that's from Beach Read. What's his name? She's totally outgoing and like bubbly and fun, and he's more like to himself. I forgot what his name is. I really forgot what his name is. They're basically just complete opposites, but every summer, once a year for like 9 years, something like that, they go on some sort of vacation together. And then something happens one vacation and then they stop speaking, and then 2 years later she texts him randomly, accidentally, and then they end up planning another trip together. And it's basically them rekindling things and figuring things out from then on, and then you find out what happened. And yeah, I think I rated this one 4 something. I'll put it here, I forgot. And the last book I read in the month of May, yeah, May, I already forgot, I'm like zoning out, is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book was phenomenal. I rated it a 4.5 stars, something like that. It follows this girl named Emma Blair, and she marries her high school sweetheart named Jesse, and he dies in a helicopter crash. And this happens a year after they get married. And then Emma runs into an old friend named Sam. They end up rekindling their little flame that they had in high school. They fall in love and they build a life together and they get engaged. And then Jesse magically reappears again. Apparently he didn't die. He was just lost at sea. And now Emma's like, what the heck do I do? Do I go back to my husband, or do I continue living this life with my fiance? Because in her head, her husband was already dead. She already grieved him. He was gone. But then now she has a chance to be with him again, but she's already found another love. And it's just a story about who we are and how the people that we have relationships with kind of determine who we are, and character development and stuff like that. It's more than just a love story, and I love this book so much. Those were the 6 books that I read this month, and now let's get on to the books that I want to read in June. I don't even have a set list, and I kind of just want to do whatever comes into my head at the moment. So I'm going to start off with my book club's book pick of the month, which is Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I'm so excited for this one. I've been wanting to read this one for the longest time. If you haven't heard what that one's about, what have you been doing? The next book is Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. This is a young adult romance, finding yourself, coming of age type of story. Apparently there's a Netflix adaptation of this, and I had no idea till maybe like 2 days ago. It's coming out this month, so I want to read this as soon as possible. I just know that it takes place in Italy. That's it. Okay, moving on. The next book is Set on You by Amy Lee. I'm not sure if I put this in my last book haul, but I'm really excited about this one. I think I did put it in my last book haul. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it basically follows this curvy fitness influencer, and then there's this guy named Scott Ritchie who's a firefighter, and apparently he was written based off of Chris Evans. So you know I had to get the book. The next book I want to read, I'm actually reading right now on audiobook. It is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I have to finish the Emily Henry romance trio. I don't know much about this one. It follows a book publisher and she goes to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina. That's all I know, and it's a romance. It's Emily Henry. It's going to be good. The next book I want to read is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle. I just hauled this one a couple of videos back in a book shopping vlog, but this one is about a girl named Naomi and a guy named, what's his name? Nicholas, and they are engaged to each other, but they low-key kind of hate each other. So basically whoever backs out of the engagement first loses, but then in the midst of that they end up falling back in love with each other. So I'm very excited about this one. I've heard that the banter in this is really good, and yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about this. And the last book I absolutely need to read this month is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This is going to be a movie this month, so I want to finish it and read it before I watch the movie. I know this is like a mystery type of book. I'm not 100% sure what it's about, but I don't want to spoil myself because I want to be surprised. But it's a Reese's book club pick, and I have yet to be disappointed by Miss Reese Witherspoon. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I'll see you guys next time, and let me know if you want to see specific reading vlogs. I think I'm going to do a reading vlog for Addicted to You because that is the book of the month, but we'll see how that happens. I'm like exhausted. Alright, good night everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.